Hello.
You're blurry.
Hello, like that. Is it blurry now?
Kinda.
How about now?
Your camera's like freaking out.
My camera's freaking out?
It's fine. You were going back and forth, that's why.
Oh. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So it looks like we're live?
I got a notice from Facebook that we are.
Yeah. That's all good then. Let me pause my video. No need to eat up bandwidth. Hopefully we won't have any hiccups like we did last week. I don't know what was going on. Our connection. I blame Cox, the cable company, not the anatomy.
Yes, you don't need to say it.
Come on, Nicole. Let's liven this thing up. I'm kind of in a bad mood. I'm trying to get myself out of it.
You're fine.
It's Mateo wanted to sleep in our bed last night, and it's like sleeping with a caffeinated badger. And his little tiny legs all night long, whap, 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 and then pulling the cover. You guys who sleep with your children once in a while, you know what I'm talking about.
They crawl in bed, you know, sometimes.
Here's my thought on that. I've since come around. In the early days when he was a baby, I didn't want any kids in the bed. It was, to me, it's something you just don't do. As he gets older, I'm like, you know what? He's only going to be this small for so long. So like having your kids in bed with you once in a while is perfectly fine, as long as it's not every night.
Yeah.
Because Daddy Mark can't deal with that.
So just to let everybody know,
yes.
I am monitoring questions on the YouTube channel.
Okay, yeah. YouTube channel, sorry to keep switching on you like this, but it's difficult when you're broadcasting in two places. YouTube makes it a lot easier for us to monitor questions live. Oddly enough, Facebook makes it a lot easier for us to answer questions after the show. So it kind of works out, but if you want to ask us questions directly, go ahead to the YouTube channel. I think in the description on Facebook I did put that, so that if you want to use the link to go to the YouTube channel, participate in the chat there, we'll be able to say hello.
Yes.
And hopefully we won't ignore your questions. Look, if you do, it's Nicole's fault. She's picking the questions today.
Yeah.
Dan Parks says, I inspired him to take up woodworking. Love the book too. Thanks for that. Well, thank you, Dan. Oh, by the way, I did write a book. I happen to have it right here. It's called Hybrid Woodworking, and if you're interested in that, you can get it at twwstore.com, also available on amazon.com, Popular Woodworking's website. But the only place you can get it autographed is from me.
Right here.
Right here. I've autographed every damn book we've ever sold.
What happened to the saws behind you?
What happened to them? Oh, they're right here.
Oh, they're on the...
They're right here. The reason I took these off the wall is a technical video reason. They reflect like a mofo. And I've got some softbox lights over here that you can't see, and it just kind of screws up the picture. So, yeah, so they're down for now. I'll probably come up with a way to store them so that the blade is, toward the wall. Let's see. Carl loves the Archer shirt. You can thank Nicole for that one. She picked it out.
Kohl's. Go to Kohl's right now. Baby. They're in stock. Sebastian wants to know, did they give you the truck?
Did they give me the truck?
I'm guessing the Honda.
The Honda truck?
No,
they did not give me the truck. That was a pre-production vehicle anyway, so it wasn't even something that they could legally allow
on the road
or insurance-wise. They wouldn't be able to allow it on the road. But no, I did not receive a truck for my work. I received cash monies, baby. Not very much cash monies, but still, it was cash money. But yeah, it was definitely not a trade for a vehicle. All right, so what are we going to do today? Mamoon wants to know. That's a great question. I'll be honest, I don't have a whole lot on my plate today, but let's do the things that I do have on my plate. First thing I wanted to talk about, it's fresh on my mind, has to do with forums. And I received an email from a good person at the forum. Just that what he wanted it's not really relevant to what I'm going to talk about. But it was something that I had to deal with, and it got me thinking, are forums just dead anymore? And I know it's kind of, maybe they've been dead for a long time or only good in certain use cases, but, and I'm also asking, you guys on YouTube, so it's hard.
You know my answer.
Yeah, I know Nicole's answer.
I'm not a fan of forums. I haven't been for a very, very long time.
Yeah, so in the comments, I want you guys to leave some feedback on this because I want to know, do you think forums are dead? Do you use them for anything? I mean, for me, I have to say the only time I really use forums is product-specific or software-specific. So if I'm using a piece of software, I will go to that company's forum to try to troubleshoot things. Apple products is a good example. If I have a problem, I'm always going to a forum for that. But other than that, I mean, even in my own forum, we have a forum at woodtalkonline.com. I do not spend much time there. I administrate it. I've got a couple of good moderators there that help us keep the peace and keep it a nice, positive place. But I don't spend much time there. And because of the way we interact in other social environments like YouTube, like Facebook, Twitter, even Instagram these days, it feels like forums are just dead. So I have to ask myself, like, as a business, is it worth it for me to spend money keeping that forum alive? Is it still providing a service for people? And I'm not thinking about closing down the forum, don't worry. But this just has me raising that question. So I'd love to hear from you folks. Do you even use forums? Nicole, what do you do with forums? Anything?
Use them. I use Facebook groups.
Just the porn forums for Nicole, that's all. She's very specific about her usage.
Ben R. says, Dead, I use several every day. I have done most of my woodworking learning from them. I mean, well, back in, when we lived in Temecula, you were part of a number of forums.
Yeah, I used to love going to woodworking
kind of
forums.
Before Facebook and
pre-YouTube.
Yeah, before YouTube.
Because YouTube really didn't start to become a thing until about 2005, 2006. Well, 2006, I would say, is when it started to pick up steam. So yeah, forums were integral in my initial learning process. But now, I don't know. I mean, again, same thing. You might search for a very specific thing in woodworking, and you might find a forum post. But you'll probably, because of the way Google structures things, you'll probably find 5 or 6 videos on top of that. You'll have to dig down to find that stuff.
Well, I find too, I have all the best intentions of being a part of a forum. So I'll go in and I'll do all kinds of posts, and then I leave, and then I forget to go back.
Yeah.
Like, I get caught up in other stuff. Like, there's nothing that keeps me going back to that, because it's a standalone entity, whereas Facebook, you just kind of go into every day, and it's part of it, and it just shows up in your feed, and yeah, that's the lazy way but that's how a lot of people, I think, use it.
It doesn't require a whole lot of proactive.
It's very passive.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot of proactive activity on your part. All right, so they're dying or dead, right? Nah, just kidding. Let me know what you think about that. Just curious. Grandfather clock update. Let's do that real quick.
I'm still reading your questions.
Okay.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, you got move over unless you want coffee breath in your face. Talking to you, sweetheart.
Sorry.
No,
no, I have coffee breath.
No, my coffee breath in your face.
Oh, we both had coffee, so we're okay.
But I have natural Italian stank that coffee breath is laced with, so you may want to keep your distance.
Okay.
All right, so real quick, this is not going to take very long. You guys may recall in the last session I showed you some of the progress here, and Nicole quickly told me that the angle was not enough. The taper angle on the grandfather clock we're about to start building was not severe enough. So we went back to the drawing board, Brian and I, and agreed to increase the angle by about 1 degree. And it's not substantial. It's not a huge difference.
It's slight.
But it is slight, and
unless you didn't do anything and you're fooling me with.
Is it just the same picture? That could very well be, Nicole. Thank you for noticing. But this is where we're at now, and I really don't want to go more severe than that. But I thought I would just give you an update and let you know how I change my design based on my wife's preferences.
Echo? Is it because of my mic?
It could be. Well, not on this one. Okay. It could be on the other view. Are a lot of people saying something about the echo?
Just one.
Okay, well, he can suck it up. So that's where we're at with the grandfather clock. Yeah, there are 2 microphones going right now. What we try to do is keep enough physical distance between my lavalier mic and Nicole's mic over there. So if you do hear a little bit of echo, it's probably from the fact that Nicole has a mic and I have a mic. But it shouldn't be bad enough to interfere with the presentation. If it is bad, let me know.
Boop.
Okay. Pouring in coffee breath. What kind of show is this? I have no idea. I don't know what we're doing. What are we doing here?
We're just, having a Friday chat and coffee.
Yes.
That's what we do now. We don't really plan too much.
Okay. If it's too much, I could always turn Nicole's mic down a little bit, and that should help. So if it is too much, see, someone says no echo. All right. Well, there it is. Barry Ricks said no echo. Therefore, there is no echo, because Barry Ricks knows all.
I'll try to get away from you.
Okay.
I'll get closer.
Just like normal. Well, and the problem is I get loud sometimes. I get excited about things.
Yeah.
All right, so I wanted to talk a little bit about kids in the shop. This is something very, very quick, but my buddy Jamie McGannon sent me a picture this morning and said, the struggle is real. Nicole, can you roll that beautiful bean footage?
That never gets old.
So this is, I know, it's great. This is a picture in Jamie's shop. He's got a beautiful shop in New Jersey. And check it out. How many of your shops look like that? Surrounded by totes and children's toys and vehicles and things like that. And I got to tell you guys, this is probably going to be my life very soon.
Yep.
When we move to Colorado, I am not going to it's very unlikely that I will have a standalone shop. So it'll be a garage retrofit. And Nicole will need a place to park.
Yeah, well, that's not happening.
I know, but there's a lot of hail
Yeah,
up there, so I don't know, we'll see. And of course we have stuff to store, right? Kids stuff. With 2 kids now, this is only going to get worse.
Well, hopefully we'll have a basement that we can just
that's true, too.
store that stuff in.
Where we could put the kids. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking my life will be like. So I would bet that a lot of you watching right now have a very similar situation in your shop/garage situation like that. Okay.
Well, garages are multi-purpose. It's garage
They are indeed.
slash shop
Well,
slash.
and that's why you have to get creative with rolling stands, and I'm going to have to rethink some of my things in terms of the luxury of having everything being stationary, locked down in position here. That's great, but most people don't have that, so you've got to figure out a way to make things still functional but mobile and sort of have this like, okay, everything's put away, let's bring the car in, now bring everything back out. It's a very different way of strategizing your workflow and your setup in the shop.
Hey, you know where you could get inspiration for those ideas?
YouTube?
Nope. Our website.
Our website, that's
We
right.
have a whole category of shop tours, and we've categorized them by size. So a lot of people will ask you, hey, how would you set up a one-car garage? Well, we don't have a one-car garage, but we have a lot of viewers that do, and they send in their shops. So if you go to thewoodswhisperer.com, and there's shop tours, and you can sort them and all kinds of cool stuff. There's a lot of cool ones on there.
Yes, there are plenty. Lots of inspiration here.
It's very hot in here.
Well, we live in Arizona.
Well, no.
Someone asked about this, and I have to show it. Yes, that is indeed Fremona Spider-Man. I got one of those pictures from Matt, and it's like, what am I going to do with it? Oh, I know. I'm going to put his face on Spider-Man. I even cut it out so that it looks like it belongs there.
Jeff, tell Festool to build you a workshop. No, it doesn't really work like that.
Tell Festool to build me a workshop. Boy, you know what? It's not even about necessarily the funding for the shop. It's moving to an area where it's going to be difficult to find the space that we want and still live in the kind of neighborhood we want to live in.
I'm still hoping you find a woodworker friend and you become buddies and then you do like
Yeah.
a shop space.
She's crazy. That's just not going to happen. I don't want to share space with anybody. So Hugo noticed my coffee lean back while you were talking. It's my patented last drop move, like this.
You know, you could just,
Until you find out that the moron at Dunkin' Donuts got coffee grounds in it, and you get that last little spit that you're hoping to enjoy is like a nice little bit of coffee, and it turns out to be coffee grounds.
Anthony, no need to yell. Mark uses a Powermatic table saw. What's the Powermatic?
I have a PM 2000.
2000.
5 horsepower PM 2000. A couple people were asking. There's another question about schools and Rob Kosman that I'd like to answer too. But the question is, why am I moving from this dream shop? I can't remember who it was that said it. Was it John Funk or Cremona maybe? Or Scott Siganti? I don't know. One of my friends said, dreams change.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this came down to. When we embarked on building this shop, it was before we even had kids. And while we were in the process of committing to the build was when we had Mateo come along. From that point, obviously, we had a second child, and our priorities have changed. And I think, as much as I love this space and I love having this much room, you and I both know, all of you collectively, and I know that it's more than the average person needs, right? And it was kind of my opportunity for excess, and I went for it, as anyone else would in my position. And I enjoyed it while I had it. But now that I'm thinking about, different school systems, I'm thinking about recreational activities for my kids, trying to figure out, how I can do more outdoor things with my son, because he's like a little puppy that needs to be run every day, otherwise he destroys the house. You know, and I just think the climate here in Arizona is not conducive to the way that I want to raise my family is what it comes down to. So that is more important to me than having all of this extra space. I can certainly, you know, do the Wood Whisperer and continue to do guild projects and everything that I do. I could still do that in a smaller space. In fact, I have done it in smaller spaces in the past. It's not that big of a deal. But again, to me, the family priorities override my personal needs for a giant shop space.
And the house is still for sale, so you could own the dream shop.
That's right. Anybody want to buy it? It's for sale.
Aaron wants to know, how are you going to move all of your tools?
Well, I've moved my tools multiple times.
Yeah, we even have videos, right?
Yeah, we actually have a couple of videos on the moves that I've had. Every one that I've done is documented in some way, shape, or form. I think I've moved my tools about 3 different times, which is just, you know, it's a pain in the butt, but frankly, if you hire a good mover, it's really not going to be that big of a deal for you. It's a big deal for them because they've got to move some pretty heavy tools. Okay, so scrapwood jewelry boxes. That video just launched yesterday, in case you missed it. You could look on thewoodwhisperer.com or on our YouTube channel and find it. So I made some of these beauties over here. Check them out. Boom, baby. You can learn how to make them, download the free plans. But they were made from scrapwood. And the scrapwood thing has generated some interesting conversations as folks are like, well, I wish my scrapwood looked like that. Once again, Mark, you have the nicest scrapwood in the world. So I actually wanted to show you guys my scrapwood and my cut-off pile and give you a quick look at that, because I thought that'd be interesting. Pardon me as I move the camera. It's live, baby. Shed some light on the
Denise says, I
subject,
hope
shall
you'll
we?
hook up with Red Rock School of Fine Woodworking. They need your expertise using tech to teach woodworking. I didn't realize there was a School of Fine Woodworking in Red
Neither did I.
Rocks.
Yeah, we
That's
don't know
cool.
anything about Colorado.
We're just moving there.
We're just moving there.
We're just moving there. I'll look into that, Denise.
So this is my scrap pile. Let's make it even brighter. How's about that? So pretty much in its entirety, this is my wood collection from, you know, 3 shelves on the top. Oh, actually 4 technically. Right, so I've got some long boards up there. And then all of my scrap is down here. Now, the concept of scrap is one of those things where that's where I get some flack for it, because the stuff I call scrap, for instance, this piece of 8/4 babinga, might be someone else's project material. And scrap is not really necessarily saying that this stuff is of less value. It's stuff that is of too small of a size to go into the work that I usually produce. So it's a matter of scale. So if you're constantly building large cabinets, for instance, anything smaller than like a 12 by 12 piece of plywood becomes scrap. But if you are making tiny boxes, a 12 by 12 piece of starting material is huge. That's kind of your rough material, right? So when I say scrap, I'm talking about things that are difficult for me to fit into standard furniture projects. So that is why a small piece of babinga, or why I would call this a scrap piece of babinga. I'm not saying it's garbage, which is, I think, the confusion there. Some people see the word scrap and they think I'm implying that it's garbage. This is just a cutoff that's too small. That's why I call it a scrap. It doesn't fit into my regular workflow. So all of this down here, I've got 3 bins, and I just kind of stack the stuff vertically, and you can see the range of sizes, and I've got a lot of different species. And how do you end up with babinga scrap? Well, you build stuff out of babinga, and the leftovers become scrap. And that's what all this is. I very rarely buy or have the opportunity to buy wood in large amounts just for the sake of storing a lot of wood. Most of the time, I wind up buying extra. So if I'm buying a bunch of cherry, for instance, you see this nice little stack over here. If I'm buying all this cherry for a gaming table, for instance, I'm going to buy a lot extra because I'm already there buying it. I may as well throw some extra in. That does 2 things. It gives me extra material for me to sort of be very picky about the grain that goes into the project so I can get the best appearance possible. And it gives me tons of leftovers, because who doesn't like leftovers? And those then sit here until I have either a smaller project or another project to incorporate them into. And then when it all boils down to it and it goes through maybe 2 or 3 rounds of larger projects, the leftover stuff ends up down here in this bottom pile, and then I can incorporate it into a smaller project when the time comes, or a scrap wood jewelry box, something along those lines. So that's really the story with my scraps and why they are the way they are. But ultimately, if you don't build with the expensive stuff, then you can't expect to have scraps that are the expensive stuff.
Aren't you planning on making some cutting boards for me?
Cutting boards?
Yeah, you said.
I don't make cutting boards.
Yeah.
That is a long-standing myth.
You told me you were going to make a ton of cutting boards.
Yeah, I know, but now I want to do something else. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I've got some good a good supply of domestics over here, but if you're curious what's on the rack, I've got a little bit of figured maple, some sycamore that my buddy Russell gave to me. There's a little bit of cherry up there. I see some mahogany, purple heart, a little bit of western red cedar, and wenge.
Where did you get your woods?
I get all of my wood from either Spellman Hardwoods or Woodworker's Source.
Or Bell Forest. You have some Bell Forest in there.
Very little of my stuff is from Bell Forest,
Right.
but yes, Bell
If
Forest
you're doing online stuff.
Yeah, Bell Forest is a fantastic resource for mail order lumber. If you are lucky enough to live close to them, certainly can go to their shop and buy it. But they have some really great stuff. I just don't utilize it that often because I do have local sources. Hello, I'm back.
Had a number of people ask a few questions.
Yeah, let's do questions.
Let's see. Someone asked, Carl, do we still play WoW and have we tried Legion? I know this is off topic, but
We are trying to figure out how to play.
we have it
WoW.
installed.
It's installed. We have active memberships.
Yes.
We have all intentions of playing, but our baby girl is going through some
Teething.
hardcore teething right now, which is basically keeping Nicole up at all hours.
She waited until she was almost a year old before she started getting her teeth.
Yeah, and it seems like she's having them all at once. So it's been over a month of just constant overnight problems that Nicole's been dealing with. So by the time the workday is over and Nicole is, the baby is down, Nicole's super tired, and I'm usually, because she doesn't, make me wake up in the middle of the night to take care of that stuff, thankfully, which is really, really nice of her. But by the time it, hits about 10 o'clock and both kids are down, it's like, okay, I guess we have enough energy to watch an episode of Seinfeld and then go to sleep.
You didn't watch Stranger Things, did you? No, I did. I plowed through that one.
I watched the first episode.
I'm really looking forward to fall TV so we can start
Yeah.
watching shows again together. Sebastian wants to know if you, with all the work you currently have, do you still do commissions? Which you
No,
don't.
I don't do commissions anymore. I mean, once in a while, I did a commission not too long ago. What was the last one?
It was for Ed.
I think it was the modern chest of drawers
Yeah.
and nightstand project. So yeah, there is one guy locally. His name is Ed. Real good dude. He just likes a lot of exotic woods, so he's a fun customer to work for. But that's even few and far between. So I really don't take on much in the way of sort of local clientele and actually taking on clients.
Let's see.
Do I listen to Tool? I used to. I haven't listened to Tool in a long time. And yeah, we did play Destiny for a while.
Does anybody that is watching actually have a job? I'm going to guess everyone, just about everyone has a job and they're secretly watching this.
The funny thing is, I had some guy give me a lot of flack on one of the last sessions, like, you do realize that most of the people who follow you are hobbyists, and of course this is how he talks, I'm sure. You do realize, and he's basically giving me crap about the time of day that we do this. And I'm like, look, dude, I know you don't know my life, but here, let me give you the rundown. I've got kids and responsibilities after 5 o'clock, that if I had to do these things in the evening, the trickle-down effect of impacting my family is ridiculous, and I can't pull it off. So it's either now or never.
Yeah.
So sorry,
And it's
there's only
recorded.
so much I can do.
Hey, so if
Yeah,
you
and I mean, it's
watch
cool.
this-
It's cool to check it out live, right? But it
Yeah.
is recorded. You could watch it later. And this is not an intentional slight against, people who have day jobs, because the reality is I guarantee about 99% of the people here right now, out of the hundreds of people watching, are working right now. That's how we do things in America.
So,
Right.
all right, yeah.
That is a metal coping saw. It's a new Concepts, K-N-E-W, Concepts coping saw.
Mike Hughes, I just wanted to give you my condolences. He said, just a quick shout out to you guys for sharing so much. I recently built a memorial box for my dad who just passed away. I only had 2 days to make it, and your video on the box for your uncle.
It's Mike.
Mike.
Sorry to hear about that, Mike. Condolences to you and your
Glad the
family.
video helped. Brian Nichols wants to know, what is the Woodworkers Fighting Cancer Project? Looking forward to building it to help. We are in the process of that design. It is going to be a kid's bookcase this year. The bookcase is going to have 2 options. So one can be a dollhouse bookcase. The other one's going to be a castle bookcase.
This is the first I'm hearing this, by the way.
No,
so.
it's not. I've been telling you, you just choose not to listen.
Okay.
He's kind of busy right now with the clock build, so I'm just getting all that work. I'm working with Brian. How do you say his last name? Benham. He's helping me with the design and the plan. We are also going to be working with the Jesse Reese Foundation this year. Really great foundation and charity that supports kids going through cancer. Head on over to Jesse Reese Foundation. You'll learn. They're a small organization, but they are really awesome.
Yeah.
What they do. The little girl, Jessie Reese, she inspired that foundation. So we're really, really happy to be supporting them. And we're going to be rolling out the official page. I need to update the page and all of that soon.
Yeah, we're a little behind on that.
Yeah,
but
so
it's coming.
The official announcement will probably happen more towards the end of September. So we're a little delayed this year. I know last year we were already in it. You did the live build. I don't think you're doing the live build this year, right?
Probably not.
Probably not.
The live build was very, well, all of my, and here's the thing, I've got to resolve some of this in my head, but all the health problems that I had this year started at that live build, where I had a dry cough for like a month, and then that led to one thing, which led to a scan that found a thing in my thyroid completely unrelated to it, but it was just this spiraling snowball thing that happened last year. So this year I might take it easy on myself and lay off. I've always had difficulty speaking live for long periods of time at high volumes, and that's why I've had difficulty in presentations, live presentations. If I'm not amplified and mic'd up, it's difficult for me to do those and not lose my voice. It's just something that's been with me my whole life. So I do have to be careful with that stuff. Someone asked me a question that I am not touching with a 10-foot pole,
I see
and
that.
I'm just letting you know, for anyone who feels inclined to ask me this question in the future, is if I believe in a God. Guess what? There are 2 things you will never hear me talk about on The Wood Whisperer other than to talk about how I don't talk about it, and that is politics and religion.
Not the place for it.
Not the place for it. I don't want to know your thoughts on it, and you don't want to know mine.
Henry Harris says it's 5:30 a.m. here in New Zealand.
Actually, this time of day, not intentional, but this time of day really does work well for folks outside of the U.S.
Yeah.
We actually get a lot of people international who can watch this. A dry cough fix? Well, you know what? Time was the only fix, Philip.
Yeah.
I didn't really fix it. It just kind of resolved eventually and went away. But I was left with a lot of excess phlegm in my throat, which to this day is still something that I'm dealing with and trying to figure out.
But you, I mean, since you kind of started exploring it, you've noticed a lot of other woodworkers that have that kind of
I meet a lot of
persistent-
woodworkers. David Marks, for instance, was like that. And I'm not going to name other names, but a lot of people who are lifelong woodworkers sort of have this continuous thing. Mine was just sort of a more of a, I would like to say it's a sudden onset, but you guys have told me that I've been clearing my throat like more than average for years now. So who knows? It might just be a woodworking thing.
Brian.
Norm is God. Okay, I'll agree with that one. Good
Brian
job, Dutch.
Bryla says, do you need a contractor's license to sell furniture online? I don't know.
Do you need a contractor's license to sell furniture online? I'm not sure you need a contractor's license to sell furniture at all.
Yeah.
A contractor's license, I think, is more
For
actually
construction, right?
construction, building on properties, things along those lines. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but in at least in the U.S., I don't think you need any sort of license
Yeah.
to sell furniture. Now, if you want to have an established business, you probably need a business license to do business and transact retail sales in your county, in your city, in your state. But other than that, you don't need a specific contractor's license to do that.
I think I remember when we first started out, we received emails from, I think he was in Ireland, and he was saying how woodworking is not a hobby, it's a trade, and you have to do apprenticeship. So at the time, in 2006, 2007, just the information wasn't available for learning
Yeah.
woodworking overseas. So our videos, hey, we're coming up on 10 years. Did you know that? October 6th, is it? October 7th?
Something like that. Yeah.
So-
10-year anniversary for the Wood Whisperer.
We're going to
coming
get
up.
some really cool 10th anniversary t-shirts made up. And
Yeah.
yeah. So there you go.
The other thing I wanted to mention, someone did say, can you give, and I don't remember who it was, can you give us a rundown on the Guild? I will do that very quickly. The Wood Whisperer Guild is our premium website where if you like what we do on the free site and you want more of that, especially the really hardcore, deep topics in woodworking, the Guild is all about showing you how to build specific projects and giving you every possible detail that you could need to do that. And it's really meant to take not just beginners, but advanced woodworkers too, to teach you some new tricks and show you my methodology of woodworking. And it's very detailed, lots of videos. One single project typically has anywhere from 10 to 12 videos covering each section of the build. And you get full plans, you get full support for the whole thing, and it's a really great experience. So just ask around. I hardly need to sell it anymore. People who are in the Guild are pretty vocal about it, and I really don't try too hard to push it. I like it to sort of grow organically, and it does fairly well because of that. So check it out, thewoodwhispererguild.com if you're interested in that.
Plus, then you'll get to join the Facebook group.
Yeah, we do have an awesome Facebook group.
do.
That is a surprise. Our Facebook group is private, and we have very specific rules because I don't want it to become a place where people are just sharing stupid memes. It's actually turning into a great resource where you can get near immediate answers from very qualified people on your woodworking questions, and it's really turned out to be a great place. So if you become a member, by any project you become a member, but I recommend buying a bundle because you'll save a lot of money. But as soon as you buy a project, you are a member, and then you could ask for admittance into the Facebook group. Okay, what kind of vices do you have? Aaron wants to know. I'll give you a look at them. Coffee's one of those vices. Get it? Oh, look at that.
Oh, Millie.
It's a sleeping Dobie. She looks so majestic. Look at her. I have bench-crafted vices on my workbench. I'm assuming you're talking about the workbench. Bench-crafted makes really, really good high-end stuff. This thing makes me feel like a ship captain. Ahoy, matey. Let's clamp it in. There you go. All right, so these work really well. That's my, my leg vise. And over here is a nice shoulder vise that is under some stuff. And this thing is a beauty. With another little turny-dealy whacker over here. You got a dog in the movable dog hole here. And between those two, that really satisfies, you know, pretty much everything I need in terms of work holding at this bench.
So, Pavel says, one question from Russia, Moscow calling. Do you have any friend carpenters from Russia? We don't know. We don't know anyone from Russia.
We don't talk to communists.
Oh, stop it.
What was the question? Do I have any friends?
Do you have any friends in Russia?
You know what? We don't actually have a lot of interaction with Russian viewers, except for the ones that try to DDoS our site. Just to be honest, the most we have are like Russian IPs that are doing nefarious things on the server. But no, I haven't heard from Russia very much in terms of just craftsmen who are inquiring or want to share their work. Send us your stuff. I'd love to see what you're up to in good old Mother Russia. Oh, there's our timer. So let's do about 5 more minutes.
Okay.
And then we'll get out of here. Well, that's a good question, Matt. Do you know of anything comparable to Benchcrafted that is a little bit cheaper? I don't. Benchcrafted really knocked it out of the park with their hardware, and I don't know of anyone who competes with that. There's always traditional sort of vices, quick release vices and things that you can install, but I don't know that anyone is making something close to Benchcrafted that would be more reasonably priced. If anyone knows about that, go ahead and put a link down there.
Eric wants to know, do you sell that Wood Whisperer mat on your,
I don't sell the mat. The mat that I have down here is made by Benchmat. I think it's at benchmat.com. And I've actually had, it's funny, I've had a number of people in these live sessions say, hey, how'd you do that inlay on your bench? It's definitely not an inlay. This is just a sort of thin neoprene foam, I guess, almost like a very thin mouse pad, right? And it's a sheet that covers the whole bench. You can see I've got my logo on there, obviously. And, you know, it's good for protecting the bench, but most importantly for me, I like to sand on it. I do my finish preparation on that thing because it helps prevent denting and all that good stuff.
So Wes wants to know, have you used your new Narex tools yet? If so, what do you think?
I have not used the Narex tools. They're still sitting right here because I haven't really done much work in the shop.
And they are
in the past
sending
week.
you a new set to replace the marbles, so I can use them for paint cans.
Yeah, there you go. Those are the paint openers.
They didn't really work so well. That's why I stopped. I mean, they didn't really.
Jack wants to know, do we have a prospective time of departure from the Phoenix area? No. It's all dependent on when we sell this house, which is completely out of our control. It's up to the other god that I believe in, and that is the real estate god.
The Marvelous One wants to know if we have any of those purple QALO rings left. He's getting, or he or she is getting married October 1st.
Nice.
So if you head on over to thewoodwhisperer.com/QALO ring, there's a giveaway widget. They've given us a bunch of rings to give away, and that's, you know, we're leaving it open for like 2 weeks, and that's how we're going to give them away. Because then I need ring sizes and all that stuff.
Wayne says he'll pay full price for the house if I throw in the Rubo. You know what, dude? You pay full price for this house, the Rubo's yours.
What?
I would rebuild that crap in Colorado and let you have my workbench.
There you go, Wayne.
So
Become
show
a
me the money,
snowbird.
baby. Bring in that offer. Captain Jack says, how about going back to basics and making something from reclaimed wood? All right, here's my thought on that, Captain Jack. For me, going back to basics does not involve reclaimed wood. I don't consider reclaimed wood basics. It's cheap in some cases. You could find reclaimed wood, be it from pallets or a barn wood source that you happen to come across. But these days, good reclaimed wood actually can be quite expensive. So for me, going back to basics actually involves going to the lumber store and finding their cheapest lumber that you could find that's actually decent lumber. Something pine, something poplar, oak, and starting with that material as your starting source. That, to me, going back to basics means let's talk about woodworking and the foundations of woodworking and not focus so much on the material that we're using. When you're using reclaimed wood, you have a lot of extra things to worry about that you don't have to worry about with new lumber. So I'm not discouraging people from using reclaimed sources. I think it's a great thing, and it's incredibly in vogue right now. If you're doing this as a business, it's probably a smart idea to look into it. But if you want to get back to basics, go back to raw, simple lumber that isn't expensive that you could work on, practice on, and build things from because it's more predictable, it's easier to work with, and it's going to allow you to focus on the woodworking as opposed to the nuances of reclaimed lumber.
Felix wants to know, is there a specific reason you guys are doing a lot of live videos? It's easy.
It's fun. We like it. We do the live videos because it's a great way to interact. And I don't know if you followed us for a while, we did live video way early on with Ustream, and we started streaming from our shop, and I would just show people a camera here with a webcam showing me work. That's how it all began. Then we started to do a couple of live presentations here and there. Then we started to do these overblown, elaborate live demonstrations for TWW Live.
Yeah.
That was a couple years ago. And now live streaming has become such
a couple years?
Yeah, I think so at this point. Maybe last year.
I think it was last year.
That just became so much work. And what I realized was live is cool. It's fun. It's great to talk to people. It's good community outreach. But if we put too much effort into it in terms of preparation, demonstrations, those videos are hard to watch later. So that if you're really into it, you can sit through it. But so what I figured I would do is segment these things. If I have something that's a really good demonstration, I'm going to make you a good, concise, edited video and put it out as an episode. The live stuff is just here to talk to you guys, to tell you what's going on, give you an update from the shop. I'm not really putting things in here that I'm going to be sad if people don't see it, right? If you want to and you're interested, it's there. But if you miss it, you're not missing some great, giant, important piece of content, if you know what I mean. So that's why we do this. It's easy to do. It's a lot of fun for us. It doesn't take a whole lot of preparation. And being able to talk to you guys directly like this and interact like this is a blast.
You remember the Wednesday night hangout when we used to just hang out on Wednesday nights and I would play music for people.
Yeah, I remember that.
On Ustream. Gosh, it was forever ago. Okay, dude. I'm not sure what you're doing here.
The guy who's spamming the chat?
Yeah, I just blocked him.
I did too. Someone wants to know if we send our giveaways international. We do not. There are some giveaways that we can open international. There are most of them where we cannot, and it's a giveaway restriction based on rules that are outside of our control.
And also costs.
International
especially
laws.
when the tool is like a big tool. Number one, your power cord may be different than the U.S. tool, and then also just the cost of shipping it may be way too much.
Yeah.
So there's a number of factors to it. Let's see.
Josh Lockwood wants to know, any recommendations, we'll take 2 more questions. Any recommendations for a baby-safe top coat for a maple crib? If you're going has shellac coatings on it, it's probably in candies and things like that, so you can ingest the stuff. So that's probably your best bet if you want that sort of film finish. If you're going to go with something that's a little more of a natural finish, go with an oil. If you're afraid of the polyurethane and all the unnatural sort of components that go with polyurethane and mineral spirits, go with a natural oil, like a tung oil, pure oil. Tried and true oil is a good solution that's completely food safe. So think in terms of food safeness, and you'll find finishes that, if you could use it on a cutting board, chances are it's going to do just fine on a crib. But if you want that film finish, shellac is probably your best option.
We're getting some lagging reports.
Okay.
But I think it's time for us to wrap up anyway.
It is time to wrap up. It's weird. I keep getting these warnings in YouTube about my settings, and the settings are right. I looked them up today, and I made sure that the settings are as good as they can be for YouTube, and I don't know what the deal is. Anyway, so lots of fun. Thanks, everybody. Have I seen Tommy's new build, Eric? Yes, I have. I've been catching his live broadcasts on Facebook. That is a beautiful looking shop. Like, talk about just out in the middle of a field, sort of just beautiful, picturesque, nice colors, absolutely gorgeous place that, like, how can you not love woodworking in a space like that? Really, really nice. Okay, kids, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for improving my mood. I was in kind of a bad mood when we started.
Yay.
I may have hit it well, but I was. And between you and my wife, you guys, and a little caffeine, the help of a little caffeine, never underestimate the power.
We're still courting you, Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes. One of these days, we will have Dunkin' Donuts as a sponsor.
That would be amazing.
You never know. Yeah. You never know. Yeah. Come on, Dunkin'. Let's make some babies together. Little caffeinated babies. All right. Thanks, everybody. Oh, who's better, Frank Klausz or Norm Abram? Come on. That's crazy. That's just crazy talk. It's like choosing between my 2 favorite flavors of ice cream.
What are your favorite flavors of ice cream?
I actually only have one. I love Norm. Norm is a beast. He's an awesome person. I would love to hang out with Norm. I think if you're just... And here's the other thing. It's hard to judge Norm's craftsmanship by the show. He was building projects for a show.
He was building them all by himself, right?
As far as I know.
Yeah.
So is he building his finest work? I don't know. So how do you judge his work against Frank Klausz, who generally is building his finest work all the time? It's kind of hard. But if you are just to judge them by what's out there in the public sphere that they've built and things that you have seen them make, I think Frank Klausz is probably a better woodworker. But who cares? Why are we judging like that? They're both awesome. Who would win in a fight? Norm, no doubt about it.
With his Brad nailer.
Norm he's a bruiser. He's a barrel-chested, flannel-wearing bruiser. I would not want to get in a fight with Norm. Frank does strike me as being very wily, though. The chisels in his sleeves. All right, thanks for watching, everybody.
All right.
We'll catch you next time.
How do I turn this off?